Welcome, acolytes. Today I'm reacting to Elon's most controversial Unban from Asmon TV, and I don't really know what's so controversial about an unban of someone, but let's just see what he has to say about it, because I am really interested in this. For actual some reason, I don't even know why, but now I want to see it. Now is the time. So let's just start it and see what he has to say. So let's go.
Trying to think about how many years ago this was. 5 years ago? I feel it was like 4 or 5 years ago. 2021 says in a tweet. Oh, okay, yeah, I probably should have read that. And anyway, so
So basically 2021, someone... Goldfish memory.
Fish memory, completely contradictory statement, only 2 days apart. And then some guy says, you work for Jews. And then Elon Musk responds to the accusation that you work for Jews by saying, while I don't condone the actions of one group, I must admit to being openly philo-Semitic. I don't know what that is. And generally...
Okay, that's... If I understand correctly, it's just he doesn't give a shit. Like it's basically doesn't give a shit.
Trying to see the good in all people, and then in a response to that, this guy says, "Bring back Nick Fuentes on Twitter. He's been banned since 2021. What happened to your promise, big guy?" Elon Musk goes and says, very well, he will be reinstated provided he does not violate the law, and let him be crushed by the comments and community notes. It's better to have anti-whatever out there in the open to be rebutted than grow simmering in the darkness.
I love this. He's correct about this. And why do I think he's correct about this? It's pretty simple. Because if you have a really bad opinion in the open, out there, most of the times, I'm not saying always, most of the times you can actually debunk it and say, yeah, no, you're full of shit, mate. And most people will actually see it as it is. Now, does it always work? No, it doesn't. We see it on a certain effenist freaking wave right now. But, as it is, most of the time, if you live in a society that actually gives a fuck about a lot of things, and actually seeks an open discussion, you can sort out the really bad apples extremely quick without any real problems. Normally.
And so it's looking like Nick Fuentes is getting unbanned. And so this is what he says here. This will get enormous backlash, but if it's free speech platform, I think it's the right move. I think that what Elon Musk wants to do is that he wants to, what do you call it? He wants to bring everybody back on Twitter. So there's no longer an expectation that advertisers will have that content will be removed from Twitter. I think this is like a meta level strategy that he has, where it's like, basically, I'm going to unban everybody. I'm going to not ban anyone. And so I think the goal is to normalize not expecting the platform to take an action, to normalize that. So that way advertisers don't pull out every single time somebody has a bad tweet. I think that's basically what his strategy, what his like, what.
Huh. This actually makes sense. And by the way, Elon doesn't even, well, he can afford it anyway, so there's no real risk for him, basically. Huh. No? Could be. It definitively makes sense.
What, this is like his end game, right? Fuentes on Rumble openly asked for the total extermination of many ethnic groups with a rhetoric that would make a Nazi blush.
Oh!
Well, he's not, guys. He's not calling for extermination of ethnic groups. It's of cookies, okay? Come on, you've got to get it right.
Of cookies, of course. But nah, still, he has the freedom of saying it. He's a dumbass for saying it. And I would prefer if people wouldn't actually give those kinds of people any effed up notice, but just ignore those fuckers for fuck's sake. Is this so hard? And yes, he says really, really dumb. If he said this like it, I mean, cookies. Still, like, just say him to F off. Don't even say that. Just, if you really, really want to say something to him, then just say, yeah, you're dumbass. And even that is way too much. Just see, yep, he's crazy. Let him be. Let him shout about the things he wants. Block it for kids. Pretty important to me personally. But no. Kids shouldn't be on the social platforms to actually see this stuff. So at the end of the day, it's still the parents' fault most of the time. Because, yeah, you should take care of your kids. So,
And I think that this kind of stuff, I do agree with Elon with the fact that it's better to have this kind of stuff out in the open. Because I feel like a really good example of this is Andrew Tate. I feel like after Andrew Tate got reinstated to Twitter, it became a lot more obvious that some of the things that he was saying were just fucking stupid.
Yep.
And I think that the more that people actually see the opinions of anybody, the more that people can actually discuss what those opinions are and the validity or lack of validity of them, right? Kind of true? Yeah.
Yep. Andrew Tate shot himself in the foot. Truly. And you might say, but wait, I am not on a side, by the way. I am not on a fucking side. Just forget it. As soon as the side I agree the most does something shady, I'm gonna call the fuckers out. I do not care about this. I basically only care for the betterment of betterment of humans. Like it sounds bad, but I only care that human beings got it better in a certain way, so that everybody can live a normal life. Not rich, by the way, not rich, because I do not for fuck believe that being rich is something that you should necessarily want to achieve, but having a normal, nice life where you can drive once a year to your holidays, to your family, just have enough time for yourself, have enough food, no real financial worries, just, it's like the typical stuff.
Yeah, and so this is what he says. I believe Nick was also incredibly radicalized as a result of censorship. Well, I think a lot of people have that happen. Like, so what I think happens is that people might get kicked off of the platform, or they get kicked off of like some group, or they get fired from a company, or they have something happen. Like, most people get radicalized not because of reading online rhetoric, but because something happens to them in their personal life that validates the online rhetoric that they were already aware of. So, like, for example, somebody, has a bad experience with, like, a girl, right? And then they go online and they start looking for information about why girls are bad. Or, somebody has a bad experience with a black person. And then so they go online and they start reading information about that, right?
Yeah.
Those people have the
Makes
cookie
sense.
quotes, then people take the quotes, then make them their ideology. Oh, yeah, of course, right? J.K. Rowling is a good example of radicalized by backlash. Her earlier tweets were pretty normal, but she got death threats. I think J.K. Rowling is a great example. Yeah, I think that's definitely a great example, because, like, J.K. Rowling was like, she was basically saying, like, yeah, trans women are women, but they're not the same as, like, biological women. And people went absolutely fucking apeshit on her for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm talking like, because before then, see, a lot of people might not remember this, but J.K. Rowling was like a super omega feminist. And like, people would complain about this a lot on the internet back in the early days. And so as soon as this happened, a lot of people were like, well, that's what you get, right? Because you court this audience and then now they're turning on you. And that's it. She's Delissa Turf. Yeah, and TERF, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a trans-exclusionary radical feminist. It's a term that people use for like women that feel like trans women aren't women, right? That's basically what's going on. And so I think what's happened in the process of that is that J.K. Rowling has gotten more and more radicalized away from that group and away from like the ideology that she used to be kind of promoting, because of the fact that people lashed out at her so much because of that. And so,
specifically from the side she actually wanted to defend, like she defended this stuff a lot, like the stuff of this movement, like she defended it. She was on the side, except for this one little thing, except for this, and still she got so hard shit on that she's not against everything. She literally sued someone from her side, basically, like in quotes, just because, yeah, she got like, nah, fam, you're done. And yeah, this is something that should, I'm gonna be honest, this should happen more often, that you're actually suing someone that actually does harm to your name, like actually does any harm to your name. That's actually something that if you're a person of basically global attention, you should do that. If somebody on Twitter just shanks you and just says, no, you're a freaking monster and blah, and you're a bitch and you do this bad stuff, no, just get them out. If somebody says he doesn't like your books, that's different, of course. Or that you're a bad writer in their opinion. Well, that's fine. Like, this is an opinion, but everything else, like calling someone a Nazi or something like that, this should actually be punishable. This should be really punishable. And I hope this comes like hard. I really hope this comes hard.
They aren't like, yeah, I mean, do you guys see the same perspective that I do with that? Like, I don't know, like, what do you guys think? You know, she's a horrible person. Yeah, like turf. Yeah, there he goes. Dumb ideas need to be publicly shamed. Well, I think it's important for dumb ideas to be publicly shamed, but they also have to be in the public, right? I think you have a point. Yeah, and I think that's what happens, right? Is that, you know, somebody gets censored or something like that, or they get banned off of a platform, and then after they get banned off of the platform, they become more and more and more radical, right? And I think this happens in real life too. Like, think about a lot of like weird like school shooter people, or, you know, like terrorist people. Like, this is generally kind of what happens, is that somebody gets marginalized by society in one way or another, or by a group of people, and then they just become more and more extreme over time until it boils over and they ruin their own life, or they also ruin other people's lives in the process. And so, yeah, I think probably that happened with Nick, but I feel like Nick has always been pretty extreme, right? I mean, like, yeah, I don't know if he's any more extreme than he is now. As I said, I haven't watched any content from Nick Fuentes probably in like 3 or 4 years, so I haven't really been keeping up with it. Let's see the rest of this. So then Elon Musk responds, he says this, fate loves irony but hates hypocrisy. I cannot claim to be a defender of free speech, but then permanently ban someone who hasn't violated the law, no matter how much I disagree with what they say. This is probably cause us to lose a lot of advertisers. It makes me sad, but a principle is a principle. Yeah, and I think that also the advertisers will come back. Because the advertisers don't really care about this problem. They don't really care about Nick. They don't care about Elon. They only care about selling their bullshit. And so as soon as they feel like they won't get bad publicity for it, they'll immediately go back and do it. They care about engagement, yeah. They want to sell their bullshit. And so that's what I think will happen. So a lot of people are actually pretty positive about this. And I think also, like, there is like a certain level of like, the shareholders don't want bad publicity. Well, yeah, I mean, the shareholders don't want bad publicity, but what does bad publicity really do most of the time? Nothing. It doesn't do anything. I think that a lot of people, like, and this is kind of a problem, is that the internet has created a sense of urgency whenever people are angry about something. But one thing that I've learned, and like, you know, here we go. Oh, look at this right here. Asmongold's controversial views spark heated online debate. There we go. See? And so I guarantee you in a week, nobody's going to be talking about that. It's going to be over. Yeah, that's it. And that's always how it goes. Elon is alienating 50% of the base who wanted his product, and by the end is shrinking his publicly traded company. Well, I think that he knows that he's doing that. And also, I think that if you're talking about alienating people, if you use the foundation of this person is, this is a bad actor or a good actor, and therefore, bringing them on will alienate other people. Well, somebody's going to alienate anyone, right? I mean, like Donald Trump alienates people, and they wanted Donald Trump banned. And then, what's his name? Alex Jones alienates people. There's a lot of people that get alienated. Elon Musk doesn't actually care about being principled and free speech other than making his product make more money. Well, we'll see what happens, right? I definitely think that bringing back Nick Fuentes will not increase the amount of money that Twitter makes, right? Like, let's just be honest here. Elon Musk is turning Twitter to be like a medieval movie where people shout for executions. Well, he's also making it to where he's bringing back every single person and everybody can say whatever they want. And I think that really, like, I remember this happened.
And by the way, I think that over a long period of time, this is something good. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that people that actually wish upon harm someone should come back. Like, this is something where I just, where I see the freaking end of the free speech. As soon as you actually break someone else's, if you wish them harm, bodily harm, that's something where I say, nope, that's too far, you're out. But that's my opinion. They also think that most of the time, if you actually just, as Asmon actually said, no, if you show the people what they are actually thinking and it's bad, it will be shown as a bad thing. And I agree for the freaking 99% of the time. Yes, I agree with that statement. So, yeah, it's just, but it's also not black and white, to be honest. It's some shades of gray.
A couple of weeks ago, because it was Hitler's birthday, man, there's a lot of people that like Hitler now. Have you guys noticed that?
Yep.
I'm being 100% serious. Way more than a few years ago. Like, I feel like the Adolf Hitler fan group has grown by like 300%. There's been a lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah, Yi really grew the Adolf camp? Yeah, maybe. A lot of Adolf enjoyers. His speeches get millions of views on YouTube? Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that that's for a historical reason. Let them expose themselves? Yeah, and so with Nick getting unbanned, I feel like that's going to really kind of change the atmosphere. They were always there. They just feel validated now. Well, I think that's a really good point, too, is that there were always people that had these viewpoints, but now that they're not getting immediately deplatformed for them, they're more confident in saying what they are. There's the same people who praise the Columbine shooters. Oh, yeah, and that's also another really good point. I haven't really talked about this a whole lot, but inside of, like, incel cultures, there is a huge fucking amount of people that are, like, massively positive about school shooters.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I'm against everything that harms people, especially death. Death is like the freaking final thing. Like, if you're dead, you're dead. It's over. I don't believe in any kind of afterlife. So doing this, like just cutting someone out of the life, disgusting until like, no. If this happens, if somebody kills someone, in my opinion, execution should be done. And it's just fair. You end their life, it's done. It's done for you. If you cannot respect this, done.
I didn't even know this, right? But like, they look at people like Elliot Rodgers, the Supreme Gentleman, and a few of the other guys. Yeah, it's disturbing. Yeah, because they feel like those are the guys that broke out of the Matrix. Yeah, high scores, exactly. Yeah, actual insane people. Yeah, and I think, like, why do they do that? It's probably a power fantasy more than anything, because I think a lot of people that are incels are generally...
And by the way, it still doesn't explain it, like, still scum, but it's probably a power fantasy. This makes the most sense. It's just, he did this really fucked up thing. I also want to do this fucked up thing because society actually harms me and... to a certain degree, yes, you're correct, but still you don't kill innocents for that. Do not kill, like, at all. Just don't do it. You're ending a life, for fuck's sake. That's something you should think really think about hard before you do something like that. Normally, of course, if you're defending yourself, go at it, go ham. Like, if you're defending your your life, like go ahead, just freaking go in. But in a sense, it's always like people that didn't have anything to do with your situation. That's always the thing that I do not like how those
marginalized. And so because they're marginalized, they just, again, they get more and more extreme. And then before you know it, they start celebrating school shooters. That viewpoint is becoming a lot more common now. And it actually like makes me wonder a lot about like what's going to happen in like 15 years. Because a lot of these people, like, yeah, sure, some of them are going to like grow up and, you know, like stop doing that. But I mean, if things keep going down this road, like all of those people are now going to be able to vote, right? Anybody who's tweeting now is going to be in 15 years able to vote unless they're a felon. I think the way they get introduced to it is actually very simple. What ends up happening is that it's a person who's already marginalized by society, and then somebody comes in, whether it's Andrew Tate, Nick, you know, like any person, right? Any person
that actually has some extreme views, that actually like may sound correct to the person right in this moment, and it's just still disgusting. But yeah.
Extremist. Whether this is like ISIS, you know, any sort of like like there's like a, you know, like I'm trying to no, not Nick Palm, Nick Fuentes, right? And Kanye, yeah, something like that. Hassan, I don't know if Hassan's really like that's a pretty big stretch, right? But
oh, it's not a big stretch. Hassan is a freaking extremist. Like he promotes a lot of hate, and he acts in a way that is hateful. That's the biggest problem, because Hassan is very hateful. Very, very hateful. Like the stuff I seen, it really... It's not as effective as some of the different things, but it's still hate-filled speech. The things he does is... Yeah, it's just... Yeah. So no, I don't see a really big difference between Hassan or any other hate mongerer.
But the point is that different people that feel marginalized in different ways will congregate to like one different person and then look for that person to like explain why it's not their fault. And I think that's one of the really big components to it, is that it kind of goes back to what I was saying about like the lack of accountability that people have, where like people don't want to take accountability for mistakes that they make. They don't want to take accountability for things that they do wrong. But if they can blame it all on the Jews, or they can blame it all on black people, or all on women, or all on white people, then that gives them a reason to think that it's not their fault that they fucked up their life.
And what does Hassan do? Exactly that. Asmon is fucking wrong about it. Because this is exactly one-to-one what Hassan does. And he just explained it beautifully. And he just doesn't see it, seemingly. So I will disagree on this one, like heavily. And
I think that's what happens. In a lot of cases, I think that's exactly what happens. And so the reason why I think it's that people are so vulnerable to that is because they don't have any actual, like, and this is going to be, you know, like a not one of, it's a loaded term, right? But they don't have any family values. There's not as much of like a shared culture in America in the same way that there used to be in, like, let's say 1950, from what my dad told me, right? Or 1990 even, right? Whenever I was still, you know, I was alive in 1990. And so, you know, I grew up at that time, and there was much more of a shared culture at that point. And so now you don't really have religion that like guides people. You don't have a shared like culture in the same way that guides people. You're constantly being exposed to so much new information and ideas on the internet that it's really hard to believe and have a frame of reference for like what's real or not. And then you have that compounded with the fact that most parents don't spend a lot of time with their kids, and they don't teach their kids how to be, I don't know, fucking normal anymore. And guess what you get? Well, you get a lot of extremist kids. Kids have Twitter morality. Yeah, they do. A lot of this is caused by unlivable wages and parents not being able to spend time with their kids because of work. I think that there's probably 50 reasons for it. Like, I actually think that, for example, I promise you guys this isn't because I talked to Hassan today, but Karl Marx was right. Religion is the opiate of the people. I think he was right about that, man. He was. And the fact is, whenever people don't have religion, they invent one themselves. It's like Moses went up to the fucking mountain, and it's not like they were like, okay, well, we're just gonna wait here. No, fuck that, bro. They went and they made like a golden calf, and they're like, oh, this is our new god. We're gonna start worshiping this guy. People will always try to create some sort of like external overarching value system so they can like, you know, like
attach.
order the...
Yes, so they can attach to it. Because most people just... And I actually talked about... yesterday, I don't remember which video this was, where I talked about it. No, it was the Evangelina video, yes. It's not yesterday. This is day 3 of the pre-recorded stuff, so yeah, there's that. But I actually talked yesterday about that innocent, actually quite accidentally enough, and it's just it's some kind of just people. Some people just need it because they cannot build their own path. They need something they can attach to. This is very basic. I explained it way more in the Virgilina video that was yesterday, and I'm not gonna repeat it right now just because I'm I think under time strain. Big time.
World, right? And so, yeah, religion's holding mankind back. It does in a lot of cases, and I think that you're 100% right about that. But at the same time, religion also provides to be an ordering force in a lot of people's lives.
Yep.
And I think that it's naive to say otherwise. And, like, I am not a religion enjoyer, okay? Like, I am I'm not even that much of a religion respecter. But I'm a religion allower, okay? Like, you want to have your religion, stay over there. Don't tell me what to do. But to me, if I go back and I think about all of my friends that I grew up with and everybody that I've known throughout my life, this is also a completely fucking anecdotal. This is totally anecdotal. If I look at all the people that were religious that I grew up with, and I looked at like what is probably the like life satisfaction level of those people, and then I look at all the people that were not religious growing up, I think that the religious category probably has a higher life satisfaction level than the non-religious category for the people that I've known growing up for the last 20, 30 years. Like, what do you guys think? Yeah.
I would agree with that. There are a lot of factors that actually go into that, but yeah, it's basically true. I agree with that. It's just, well, bliss for those that actually have it. Because they just accept the bad and, well, it's not their fault that something bad happened. You don't even have to apologize to the person you wronged. You just apologize to the deity and it's fine. Like, there are a lot of more things. As I said, if you're a follower, you just follow. You can just say, okay, this is the thing I'm following. I don't have to think about it. Someone else made the decision. I'm fine. I did nothing wrong. I'm good.
Yeah, you guys have the same experience, right? Yeah, and I think that sometimes ignorance is bliss. Yeah, sometimes I think that's the case. And because most famous athletes believe in God, yeah, I don't know. You said this before, and I've thought a lot about it. Yeah. That's wild, because it's the opposite for me. Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people that it is the opposite for.
Yeah.
But anyway, nuclear family is healthy psychology-wise. Yeah, and I think also, you know, this goes into, like, again, another black pill opinion that I have. I think that most people are animals that need to be told not to kill each other. I don't think that there is an innate... I think that if you let people do what they want, they will do horrible, terrible things, because in every society, in every group, in every area, in the entire world, in every time in history, including now and 5,000 years ago, it's been happening. I think it's... You know, what's the common denominator here? So yeah, it looks like, Nick Fuentes is getting unbanned. I never thought this was going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't like what somebody says. Support the right to say it. Exactly. Yeah, it's looking like Elon Musk and friends Nick Fuentes will be reinstated. He was banned in YouTube 2020, violating their hate speech policy. Shit's about to get real. Yeah, I mean, unbanning him, like having Alex Jones on the platform, oh my god. It's going to be just like it used to be, man. Yeah, well, I think that, again, like, Elon is just trying to unban everybody, so the expectation for banning people is no longer on the table. I think that's his end game, right? That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and it makes sense. By the way, it makes sense. But I'm gonna be honest,
So
like,
about
I think over the long run, this is actually something that, of course, freaking Elon Musk will profit from it. He will get money from it. This is why he probably does it. I doubt that he truly does it because of pure principle. There is a financial win for him, as he sees, probably sees it. But at the end, I think that this will just, for the reasons I already mentioned, will be just something positive for everyone at the end. So I agree with it. I'm just like, okay, do it. I want to see this fuck up back on the platform. Why not? I can laugh at his fucking opinion. And it's fine. It's gonna be fine. That is it, acolytes. Good night.